Hello and welcome. I absolutely love horror, specifically cosmic horror, eldritch horror. I love the horror that, as Sakamaki Dado of Sobote Must Be Destroyed would say, rattles the brain, shakes the brain, right? Horror that unsettles you. It's why I love the Enigma and Amigara Fault or Uzumaki so much from Junji Ito. And I've been on the lookout for a while for something new that is different and interesting and weird and terrifying. And I found that in the Magnus Archives. Obviously, I want to talk spoilers, but we're going to wait to talk spoilers until later on in this video, and I will give a clear distinction when we start spoilers. But I've only finished the first season, so that's all I'm going to be talking about so far. So this is through episode 40. I adore the Magnus Archives. I didn't think at first it was going to necessarily grab me. I just thought it was interesting. And for anybody who doesn't know, the Magnus Archives it's a podcast, but it's more of like a radio show that is based around, as far as I can tell, fears. Obviously, there's a lot more to go here, and I've got a lot more I want to see of it, listen to, I guess, because it is all audio. But it's all available on YouTube for free. I'm not sponsored by them to talk about this, and it is like 5 years old, though they've just recently announced a new project. Really stoked for that. But I listened to, I guess, the first episode, and really enjoyed it. And it was good, right? It was spooky. It was just a little bit unsettling, and I was enjoying it. But then I got to episode 3. And the stuff that happens in episode 3 is where I had my first moment of just stop what I'm doing. Abject terror for half a second as I realized the ramifications of what has just been said. And that is a feeling that continues all the way through the 40 episodes that I'm at right now. I retain a lot of information, and I'm not just trying to brag here, but I don't normally take notes for review when I review a game because I retain a lot of information. I'll take notes on little bits and pieces here and there, and every once in a while I will pull the game back up again while I'm reviewing it or right before I review it to go back over some stuff, But for the most part, when I do a review, it's my impressions of it having just beaten the game or having beaten the game the day before and recalling everything in my mind. I'm pretty good at stuff like that. I got a notepad through Google Docs, and I have a notepad with all the episodes right here with connections. Because at first, it seems like everything is, like, separate, right? At first, it seems like everything is on its own, and none of it connects. But it super does. It's all super connected in such a cool way. And I almost felt like a conspiracy theorist, having the board in front of me and tying all these different stories together. I haven't gone so far as writing down case numbers yet, though I probably should, given how things have gone in the last couple episodes. But I have each episode's number, the person who gave the statement, and all of like the important details along with the episode name. And I should probably get into what it actually is. The Magnus Archives is a series of statements given by people of paranormal activity to the Magnus Archive. And I don't want to spoil too much here and say that, hey, there's, this going on or that going on, but each statement seems to be individual, except you as the viewer know the ways that they connect together. You know where they all tie in together. And I think that makes it really, really strong in all the big reveals hit you, not because they go, oh yeah, and this happened here, but because your brain goes, oh, I know that name. Oh, I know that place. Oh, I know that thing. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. And you grow to care about your main cast of characters, and you want them to be okay. And I think that's where the Magnus Archive is really brilliant. Is there are times where they go, that name sounds familiar. That should make you go, hey, maybe I know this one. And then there are times where you hear the voice of two characters, and you know immediately who they are. But nobody says that's who they are, but you know immediately that's who they are. And it hits you right in your core and shakes you, and it shakes your brain. Dado would be proud. Somebody please finish scanlating and translating Sobote Must Be Destroyed. But that's a great read, by the way, if you haven't read it. I wish it was finished so I could recommend it to you or review it here on the channel. But Magnus Archives, there's a bunch more stuff on their channel, Rusty Quill, and I'll put a link to the video, to the channel in the description, as well as to the playlist that is all the Magnus Archive, because that's all I've listened to them so far. But they have quite a few other shows, it looks like, on their channel. I'm going to work all my way through Magnus Archives first, and then maybe listen to it again, because I want to see what is different then. But I have a lot of theories that aren't confirmed yet, of course, and I don't want them confirmed in this video. I don't want people to tell me in the comments what I'm right or wrong about, which is why I'm not going to get into all my theories. But I really love this series, and we're going to get into spoilers in just a minute because there's not much more I can say without spoilers, but that they do a whole lot with very little when it comes to the audio. It's not like they have a ton of sound effects. It's pretty simple for the most part, but the sound effects they do use are great. The music is great, and I think the acting is what really, the voice acting, I guess, is still acting, is what really hammers home the Magnus Archive for me, because you can hear the emotion in these stories, in these statements through these actors. So we're going to go into all spoilers now. At this point, there's just spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, go watch the first season of Magnus Archive and come back. Please don't spoil anything past the first season in the comment section down below, and let's talk spoilers. First off, Anglerfish, the first episode. Very, very strong start, right? In hindsight, means a whole lot more than it did at the time of episode 1. And hindsight was episode 3 when it suddenly meant more, but obviously means more as we go on. It is a horrifying thought to think that these tables are somehow tied into these anglerfish and into the arms that replace people. And then you have what happens in episode 34, Anatomy class, with the shapeshifters, that makes you go, is this what's replacing them? Is it this? And is this tied into the trash pickup people? What episode was that? That was Thrown Away, episode 6, Karen Woodward. The connections. The connections. And if you're still listening to this because you don't care about spoilers and you haven't watched it yet, I urge you, please go listen to it. Because the way it all ties in together is incredible. So, let's talk episodes. My favorite episodes are number 3, Do Not Open, where we get the introduction of not Graham. And there's also like Jürgen Leitner's in that one, even though we don't really know it yet. Because the book, right? The notebooks, I guess Jürgen Leitner's not said in there, but it feels like he's probably related to that. Even though he's in the very next one. Jared Key is introduced in the next one as well. We're not talking about Page Turner right now. We're talking about Across the Street. Sorry, it's all so connected that I reach for connections everywhere. I absolutely love the sheer horror that is episode 3. And when I said earlier that it feels like this series is built around fears, I feel like there are like certain entities is maybe the right word. Like the meat one and the hive one and maybe death. But I also feel like there's concepts that are handled really well here. And the fear of not being safe in your own home, or not being safe anywhere, really, is really hammered home in number 3, which is one of the few fears that I really struggle with, because somebody tried to break into my house a while back. And it's just really, really interesting. I don't want to just keep using interesting. It's like it really hammers home how terrifying that feeling is. And I also really love episode 7, Piper. The idea of like, hey, they hear this music right before they die, and we get back into that later on with Cheating Death, which is an incredible episode. One of my favorite episodes in the whole series so far. I also really, really love Piecemeal. I think Piecemeal is a really cool episode with the puzzle pieces and everything. Vampire Killer is where everything really like shifted for me. I loved 3. I loved 4. Thrown Away was okay at the time. I didn't have context for where it tied in, so it kind of felt separate from the others. Sperm is obviously very important, but I didn't think it was like a super interesting line at the time. Super interesting episode at the time, but it does obviously come back in a huge way later. But it was at like, I say 10, I say Vampire Killer, but A Father's Love is really interesting. A Father's Love with the dark, as the dark closes in, That was really interesting and had me on the edge of my seat. But vampire killer, the idea of like the vampires don't talk, they don't have to talk, their power of suggestion's just that strong, and they're moving like in the same pass in the house. And I don't think the vampires and the shape changers are related, but they could be. But absolutely loved that. Dreamer was okay. I liked Dreamer well enough. It's a really cool concept. I'm somebody that has really weird recurring nightmares every once in a while, so or sometimes not nightmares, sometimes just good recurring dreams, but mostly nightmares. But it was a really cool concept, and I don't think there was a bad concept anywhere in here. I think that's probably what really surprised me looking back over these episodes today to review this, looking over my notes, is I don't think any of these were bad episodes. There were episodes that I didn't have context for, and so they didn't stand out as much, but I'm really looking forward to a re-listen after I've got all the way through the series. Man, something about Alone really got me. With the Lucas family and the cemetery, something about that really got me. And there's so many mysteries. I don't mean to just like say episodes and say I liked them. There's so many mysteries that we're slowly getting more information for. The ship in Bosun's Call is also tied to the Lucas family and what's going on there. And the Lucas family's tied to the Institute. What's going on there? The werewolf that whistled, and was that the thing that was hunting? What's his name? I've got it over here. Albrecht von Klossen, is that what was hunting him in Schwarzwald? Or was it something else that was there? Just, man, there's so we're going to get to Sasha and to everything going on there. The Michael that ties in there. Okay. Let's talk about this. When Martin gives his statement, and at the end of that episode, in the middle of giving his statement, or at the end of giving his statement, I guess, his phone texts Jonathan. We haven't even talked about Jonathan yet. To tell him basically that they're coming for him is chilling. That was absolutely chilling. I was listening to that episode while I was getting ready to leave the house, and I just had to stop, full stop, when he said that. Chills. I love this series. I don't know if that's apparent yet or not. I love this cast. I want to keep talking about individual episodes and the cool stuff in them, but I don't just want to have this whole thing be me talking about episodes and saying they're cool. But I really like the team. I really like John, Martin, Tim, and Sasha. We're going to get to that. I think that Tim is the one I need to know a little bit more about, but something about him busting through that wall, just being like, hey guys, I'm here. Little over carbonated, over CO2'd, but I'm here. Sasha's great. Sasha's absolutely great. And it is incredible to me that in just honestly, I didn't get much of Sasha at all, right? We got 2 mentions of her before in her account with Michael, which is episode 26, A Distortion. And then we got a little bit of her with the Calliope, which was episode 24, Strange Music. And then 39 and 40, Infestation Human Remains. But immediately when not Sasha speaks, I knew that wasn't Sasha. Sasha doesn't say yes, she says yeah. Sasha doesn't talk like that. This voice is different. What's going on? And then it hit me. Oh no. Oh no. And it doesn't seem like they notice or even remember that there's a difference, which makes me think of Lost and Found, which seems to have like the fractal pattern on the vase was important. And is that tied into the pattern that's on the tables that are sent to the people that lead the anglerfish things to them that are then replaced by shapeshifters? Are they in the hole in the table and waiting to climb out? I don't know. Don't tell me. I want to find out on my own. Do not tell me if any of these theories are right or wrong. I really like Martin. I think Martin is like the heart of the team in a lot of ways. Really, really fun character. The I'm sorry I left you really hit hard for me, but also just Martin's ingenuity of like, hey, I've had nothing to do but stew on how terrifying this is. I figured out we use a corkscrew, right? Martin stuck in his own house with Jane Prentice at the door, never leaving, is a horrifying thought. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, I like Jonathan a lot. Jonathan revealing that all of his skeptic treatment was just to try and keep off whatever thing was listening to him, and he still doesn't know what it is. The mystery around Gertrude and figure out what happened there, and Elias's strange behavior up until he was forced to accept that it was true. There's so much. There's too much, and I know I've missed things. I know that my notes are not enough, and I've taken a bunch of notes, but it doesn't matter. I'm at 405 words of notes, and that's short change, right? That's quick notes taken. There's so much more that I could mention. I love the series. I absolutely love this series. I can't wait to get into season 2 and what's going on there. I didn't even talk about the open sky. I didn't even talk about the lightless flame. I didn't even talk about we can't stop the slaughter by closing the door, or the hearts, or anything like that. But there's just so much going on here. And if you have a fear, as far as I can tell, there's an episode of the Magnus Archives for you. So I'm going to keep this short because I don't want answers for the questions that I'm asking, right? I don't want to know. Obviously, not Sasha's going to be a problem. She's apparently already destroyed the records of her previous stuff as Sasha's recordings, right? And it's probably safe to assume Sasha is dead. I don't know that, but it's probably safe to assume that. I don't know how Jonathan is going to get out of this, other than just that he doesn't trust people already because he doesn't trust Elias. But I really want to find out, so I'm really excited to keep watching and going along with it. If you've never heard of this series before and you want to check it out, I definitely recommend that you do. The episodes are normally like 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes of audio, with a nice little book ended by Jonathan himself, and they're really good. They're absolutely incredible so far. There's not much that I can just immediately go, yeah, this is great when it comes to horror. But this got me. This got me good. Let me know your thoughts on the Magnus Archives Season 1. Please nothing above that. Please nothing past that. I do not want to be spoiled. I'm avoiding comment sections like the plague in the videos. But let me know your thoughts on Season 1 of the Magnus Archives down below. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. Magnus Archives has to offer.